Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasodanandana Prajachannaranjana. Jasodanandana Prajachannaranjana. Jamunathira Vanatari. Jamunathira Vanatari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasodanandana Prajachannaranjana. Jasodanandana Prajachannaranjana. Jamunathira Vanatari. Jamunathira Vanatari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribraja Kachacha Ashtotarata Srimad Abhay Charanaravinam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Sangstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham ki jai. Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya ki jai. Shrimati Tulsi Devi ki jai. Shrimati Bhakti Devi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavat Gita ki jai. Samveda Bhaktivinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavat Gita, chapter 5, entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, text number 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Vijitendriyaha Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvani Apina Libyate Kurvana Apina Libyate Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriyaha Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapi na libyate Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vijatma Jitendriyaha Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapi na libyate. Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Vichendriyaha Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapi na libyate Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vichitatma Chitendriyaha Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapi na libyate. Yoga Yuktaha, engaged in devotional service. Vishuddhatma, a purified soul. Vijita Atma, self-controlled. Jit Indriyaha, having conquered the senses. Sarvabhuta, to all living entities. Atma Bhutatma, compassionate. Kurvanapi, although engaged in work, na, never, lipyate, is entangled. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Purport. One who's on the path of liberation by Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches. Or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he's pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there's no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. Nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, and he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Arjuna was only superficially offensive because, as has already been explained in the second chapter, all the assembled persons on the battlefield would continue to live individually. As the soul cannot be slain, so spiritually no one was killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only their dresses were changed by the order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reactions to work. Om Ajnana Timiradasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurun Viditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Garim Yad Kripa Taraham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramanandamaravam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So, Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma. So Yoga Yukto, yoga meaning devotional service. Yukto means being engaged. So being engaged in devotional service. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma. Because one is engaged in devotional service, therefore their Vishuddhatma means they are purified soul. Pure. Shuddh means pure. Like Shuddhgi, right? You don't get Shuddhgi, but people say like that. Oh yes, yes, Shuddhgi, Shuddhgi. How can it be Shuddhgi? They sell some brands 350 rupees, 1 kilo. right? But if you want to make ghee, first you have to have 30 liters of milk to make 1 kilo of ghee. And you have to take that milk and turn it into dahi, isn't it? So how much is 1 liter of milk nowadays? 90 rupees, 60, 70, 80, 90 rupees. So if you need 30 kilos, then how much is that? Huh? 25. Yeah, over 900 rupees. Basically, over 900 rupees. So just the milk is over 900 rupees. How they can sell for 300 rupees, right? Although they're saying Shuddh ghee, we know that they put oil and some essence that smells like ghee and some color that looks like ghee. And the government, by the way, no objection, it's allowed to put Shuddh ghee. And nowadays, when you say ghee, they think it's, dal is also ghee. They say dal ghee. So there's nothing pure. But we're talking about consciousness, right? Pure consciousness, Vishuddhatma. Someone whose the soul is completely purified, right? Now, how does one come to that? This is Krishna's explaining. By yoga yuktaha, engaging in devotional service. What is devotional service? Prahlad Maharaj describes the 9 processes. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, thinking of Krishna. How do you think of Krishna? To hear about Krishna. Right? To chant Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's holy name. These are the processes of devotional service. By engaging in these activities, one can become Vishuddhatma, purified, pure soul. Vijitatma, Vijita means control, right? Vijitatma means who is controlled the self, Vijitatma, right? Control over the self. By rendering devotional service, actually the living entity is always controlled. He's Prakriti. So the living entity is controlled. When one is yoga yuktaha, is controlled by Krishna. But when the living entity is not yoga yuktaha, engaged in Vishuddhatma, when he's not purified, right, yoga yuktaha, and he's not Vishuddhatma, then he's controlled by Krishna's material energy, right? So controlled means that as living entities, we're not the controller, right? We're controlled in every stage. But in the stage of the Vishuddhatma, the pure soul, he's controlled by Krishna, right? Not that we have any power to control. Some Mayavadi philosophers, sannyasis, they think that they have become Narayan, and they think they're Vishvatma. They're controlling the universe. Vishva means universe. They think that Vishvatma, they're the controller of the universe, the soul of the universe. No. The living entity is always controlled. In the conditioned state, the living entity is controlled by the energy of Krishna. The 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, they're always pulling this way, that way. Srila Prabhupada compares the 2 being in the ocean. If you go down to the samudra, right, or they call it the Dari, the beach, the hal. What's the word for Hindi, the beach? Not chopati. That's a low-class word, chopati. No, the good word for beach. Daria. Daria. Chopati. So, the waves are coming. So many waves, wave after wave. If you go out in the water, the wave will toss you, right? And sometimes in places like Hawaii, they have 30-foot waves, 40-foot waves. And the people get on these boards called surfboards, and they know how to ride the wave, right? And Prabhupada said, "What is this?" And they said, "Oh, they're surfers, surfing," right? And Prabhupada said, "They're not surfers, they're sufferers, sufferers." And because in their next life, they'll take birth as a fish because they like the water so much. Anyway, sometimes they're surfing, but the wave is so strong it knocks them off the board and they get thrown on the ocean floor. And they can also get hurt. So it's also dangerous. But this waves are so powerful. You can't fight the wave, right? You have to go along with it because it's so powerful. In the same way, the three modes of material nature are directing the wanderings of the living entities, sometimes in goodness, then a wave of passion comes along and carries this way, then a wave of ignorance comes along and carries a living entity that way. Right? Only when the living entity is yoga yuktaha, engaged in devotional service, one is under the control of Krishna. Right? Otherwise, these three modes of material nature. And one who is engaged in devotional service, one who's under the control of Krishna, they are Vijitatma. Vijitatma. So no, the next word is, right? Jitendriya. Jitendriya. The controller of the senses, right? So someone who's controlled the senses, right? But how to control the senses? We are not the senses, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita. The body is something. That's why Srila Prabhupada speaking in the purport that Arjuna didn't create offense because he was acting under the order of Krishna, and no one really died. The soul is eternal. The soul will live eternally. Only there was a change of dress, right? Only change of dress. So, this material body is like a dress. It's our covering. And it has the senses for acquiring knowledge. It has the working senses, right? So, here it's described, Jitendriya, one who's controlled the senses. Jitendriya. Indriya meaning senses, and Jit means conquered over, controlled. So the living entity that is, again, engaged in devotional service, they can actually control the senses. Krishna is known as Rishikena. He is the master of all the senses. The senses are his energy. It's not belonging to me. The body doesn't belong to me. It's made up of Bhumir, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, the Panchma Bhuta, earth, water, fire, air, sky. Is it not? Nothing to do with me as a soul. But I'm inside this body, and the senses are actually Krishna's energy. When we engage the senses in the service of Krishna, they come under control. And that is Jitendriya. Right? So what does the living entity? The living entity desires, has a desire to, and what is that desire? In the conditioned state, when the living entity is not yoga yuktaha, the living entity is desiring to try to enjoy the senses, to try to get some pleasure from the senses, right? But the living entity has done this in so many lifetimes, so many lifetimes. Same thing. So after some use of the genital by sex pleasure, but in so many lifetimes he did the same thing. In the body of a buffalo, Billy, Kuta, so many yoni, Sarva yoni, so many different yonis. Same thing. So what is the great thing in this human form of life? People are thinking, I have my family. Okay, you have your family, it's very nice. Hum do, hamari do, 2 children, right? Very nice. But you did that also as a dog. And it was hum do, hamari che. Right? Same thing, repeated, like going to one Amitabh Bachchan movie and seeing again and again and again and again. You get tired, no? But the living entity never gets the buddhi to become tired, right? Only when the living entity engages the senses in the service of Krishna can that intelligence come, right? In Srimad Bhagavatam, it's mentioned that by Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Jnanayat Yashubhairagyam Jnanacha Yad Ahaitukam. By engaging in the service of our devotional service, 2 things come. One is vairagya, detachment from the activities of the senses, and gyan, knowledge, transcendental knowledge, right? Not PhD type knowledge, MA, MBA, not that knowledge. Then which knowledge? Atma Tattva, knowledge of the self, realization of the who am I? What is my duty? What should I do here? Then one can have this Jitendriya. So this next part of the verse is very interesting and very important. Sarva Bhuta. Sarva Bhuta, all living entities. Right? And then Bhuta Atma, Atma Bhutatma. Compassion. So the person who's engaged in devotional service, they have control over their self because the self is engaged in the service of Krishna. They have control over their senses because the senses are engaged in the service of Krishna. They are Sarva Bhut Atma Bhutatma. They have compassion for all living entities. They work for the benefit of other living entities. Why? Because they know, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that the root cause, the source of all living entities is Krishna. They are part and parcel of Krishna. When they, when we see somebody else, other people, right? Like a businessman sees another businessman, he thinks, oh, I can make a profit, right? Or the man is looking at the woman thinking, I can enjoy, and the woman's looking at the man thinking, I can enjoy. Not like that. That's material vision. That is the contaminated consciousness, right? But the pure devotee of the Lord, when he sees other living entities, he knows, one, they're not that body. He doesn't see Gujarati, Marathi, Bihari, Japan, Russia, America. No, he sees Atma. Sarvatma. So all living entities are, for him, same. They're part and parcel of Krishna. They're Atma. So what's the... And also, he's not seen to exploit them. What I can get, but how I can engage them in the service of Krishna. The pure devotee of the Lord, he knows, one who's yoga yuktaha, one who's engaged in devotional service, he knows that the real happiness, the real pleasure comes from serving Krishna, rendering service to Krishna. And he wants to see how these living entities that are suffering so much in this material world because they haven't controlled their senses, because they don't know who their self is, right? They're not Jitendriya, they're not Vishuddhatma, right? Therefore, they're suffering. They're suffering. And we could go over how they're suffering, but basically it's the hard struggle for life, working very hard. If someone wants to become a millionaire, still they have to work hard. The money doesn't jump in your pocket, no? And then after accumulating so much wealth, after hard labor, the government wants to take that. GST, income tax, state tax, this tax, that tax, so many taxes. So they're trying to hide it from the government. Not only that, family members, they want to take that money. Just like this Bhagavatam described, they're just like rogues and jackals. They won't take the money. Prabhupada gives a nice example. If a man has money in his jib pocket, right? Some chore comes and takes it. He's ready to fight. Hare? I saw one time in the train, I was in Tatanagar, and the guy was filling his water bottle. So one pickpocket was taking his wallet, right? And he understood it, right? This guy's taking my pocket. So he was just patient. And then he grabbed his hand like that. He got a hold of him. And he pulled him in the train. He caught the pickpocket. So all night long they tortured that guy, right? They made him go like this, and they made him take off his clothes, and the whole night they tortured the pickpocket, right? But the same man, if his wife comes and takes the money, then he thinks, oh, see how nice. My wife is taking the money, very good. Is it not? Huh? One guy he's beating, tortured all night. But when his wife comes and says, honey, I need some money. Oh, okay, yes, I do. Right? So, material life is confusing. It's confused life. It's not clear. And a pure devotee of the Lord, he understands this, and therefore he is active. He's working for the benefit of others, not in a material way. We see that the mundane, so-called spiritualists are trying to do some mundane welfare work, opening up a hospital, I mean, it's a good work. We're not saying it's a bad work. It's good work, right, to help somebody materially. But what about helping them spiritually, so that they don't give them knowledge, give them understanding, whereby which they don't have to come back in this material world of birth, death, old age, and disease. This is the highest welfare work, to engage them in transcendental activities, works of devotion, right? I may fill someone's belly, but again that belly will become empty and again it'll become hungry, right? So the highest welfare activity, the pure devotees of the Lord, Vishuddhatmas, they can give, they do give, and they're inclined to give, and they're ready to give, and they derive a great pleasure out of having compassion for them by giving Krishna consciousness. Give them knowledge, transcendental knowledge, engagement in Krishna consciousness. And they do it without discrimination. They're not discriminating. As it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Panchatattva, they opened the storehouse of love of Godhead, and they distributed the contents freely without considering who was fit and who was not fit candidate. No, they gave love of Godhead like that. And the highest love of Godhead, the highest love of Godhead is the love that the gopis have for Krishna in the spiritual world. Unalloyed, unadulterated love for Krishna. There's no tinge of anything else. Anyavilashita shunyam, gyanadikamadyanavritam, anukulyena krishnana, sivanam bhakti uttamam. This is the kind of love Lord Chaitanya wants everybody to take, everyone to have. And similarly, his devotees are in the same mood. They want everyone to participate in the pastimes of Krishna and Krishna Loka in the spiritual world. So, kurvanapi na libyate. They work. They're not sitting idly, right? Who's not sitting idly? The Krishna conscious persons. They're not sitting idly. They're working. They're working for the benefit of the Bhutatma, for all the Sarvatma, all the living entities. They work for all the living entities. How do they do that? By engaging in Krishna's service and trying to engage them in Krishna's service, right? And although they're working, certainly they're working. One time Srila Prabhupada was in Australia, and you know, the concept was that the devotees, they don't have any job. Kuch kaam nahi karte hain. Only Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Lekin unke paas koi kaam nahi hai. Uska haath kaam nahi hai. So the reporter said to Srila Prabhupada, so do you like to work? And Prabhupada said, yes, we are working. Then the reporter tried to change the subject. Prabhupada said, no, you just see how we are working. I'm an old man, but I'm traveling all over the world. You're a young person, but you can't work like that, he said. He told the reporter. First you see how we're working, right? You can't work like that. And it's a fact. Srila Prabhupada was on so many different levels, opening centers, preaching to the devotees, traveling, right? And at old age, right? So not working from the material platform, but working from the spiritual platform. The soul has the energy of 10,000 suns. That's a lot of energy, right? But we're covered. When we tap into our spiritual nature and align that with Krishna's plan, then that energy can become manifest. And Srila Prabhupada was manifesting spiritual energy because he was so in line with Krishna's desire. On the order of his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada went to the Western world to give people Krishna consciousness. And that was his desire. So when Krishna saw that his devotee, on the order of his spiritual master, was coming to the West and had a desire that, some people should take to Krishna consciousness, what did Krishna do? He enlightened some person from within the heart to take to Krishna consciousness. Right? The Paramatma is there. Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivisto mata mitir jnanam apohanam cha. He's in everyone's heart. So just to satisfy the desire of his devotee, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna from within the heart of totally unqualified people. They had no qualification. What was their qualification? They're hippies, trying to enjoy the senses. But somehow or another, from within the heart, Krishna enlightened them. What is this Hare Krishna? What is this chanting and dancing? I'd like to try that. Right? And then by the association of Srila Prabhupada, who always kept on his desk glubjamins. Glubjamin? ISKCON bullets. And the devotees, where are they going to get in New York City glubjamin? Only from Prabhupada's desk, no any other place. The secret weapon, Krishna Prasadam. So in the beginning, they have a little bit of interest, inquisitiveness. What is this Hare Krishna? And then they get prasadam, and they get service, like Srila Prabhupada he was there alone, so he had to marry his disciples also. They couldn't live boyfriend, girlfriend. He didn't allow. You have to get married. So his one disciple, Mukunda, who was there in the beginning, was getting married to his girlfriend, Janaki. And Janaki's sister came from, her name was Judy or Janet. Huh? Joel. Okay. She came to the help. She came to the wedding, but Prabhupada engaged her in cooking the feast. Right? So he was showing her how to make puri dough. She don't know anything, how to make. He was saying, you don't know how to make puri dough, but even a 5-year-old girl in India knows how to make puri dough. But just then she wanted a cigarette, so she went outside and had a cigarette, and then she came back to help again, and Prabhupada said, wash your hands. Just think how many times he had to tell people to wash their hands. Thousands and thousands of times. Nobody knows, right? So how much patience, how much compassion for Sarvatma, and how he's seen everyone equally. Right? This is Vishuddhatma. This is the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness for the benefit of everyone. And Krishna reciprocates with that desire of the pure devotee. Reciprocates. And that's how this Krishna consciousness movement was started. And that's how this Krishna consciousness will expand. When we are engaged in devotional service, on the order of Srila Prabhupada, we're seeing everyone as the part and parcel of Krishna, and that we have genuine compassion, that they're suffering in this material world. All people are suffering. They may be riding in a Mercedes-Benz or having so much opulence, but actually they're suffering. Why? I'll tell you. He may be the owner of a big company, but to get that big company, he had to work very hard, as I said before. But he's not allowed to stay in that company. He has to get out. If I come to your house and I say, okay, get out. You say, why? This is my house. No, come on, get out. You'll be in anxiety, right? Same way, we're in this body. We've worked, made a company, made so much empire, but death comes and says, get out. Prabhupada tells how one gentleman in Calcutta, he was sick, he was about to leave his body. So he was begging the doctor, doctor, just give me 2 more years so I can finish my work. Right? But no, death will not allow. When the time comes, you have to go. You can't stay. So this frustration is in everyone's mind, right? Everyone. The underlying frustration in life is that nothing is permanent, nothing is settled. It's there, subconsciously. Consciously, they're not thinking. They're thinking so many other things, right? Like Yudhisthira Maharaj says, he was asked, what is the most amazing thing? Yahani Yahani Bhutani, all living entities see that everyone else is going to Yamalayam, to the place of Yamaraj, but yet they're working in such a way, they'll live forever. Most amazing thing. Yet, subconsciously they know that one day everything will be sarvanas. I'll lose everything. Frustration. We can relieve their frustration. We can help them, right? If we become fixed in Krishna consciousness, if we become Vishuddhatma, if we become pure devotees of the Lord, only interested in serving Krishna, we can benefit all living entities by serving Krishna and engaging everyone in Krishna's service. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? Of course, Jamuna went on to become a very good cook herself, famous cook. And not only that, she wrote a cookbook. I don't know if it's in the library. It's called Krishna's Cuisine. Krishna's Cuisine. And that book, although, you know, in those days there was very few people that were vegetarian. Now there's so many, but in those days few. But her cookbook won an award as the best cookbook of the year from a famous publisher, Jamuna's cookbook. So if you ever have an opportunity to get that cookbook, you can try some of the recipes. They're all, taught to her by Prabhupada. And she traveled a lot in India, so she saw many different things and learned many different things. Yes, somebody had a question?
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the nice class. Prabhuji, you mentioned about sense gratification, about past conditioning. So, since senses are being misused for a long period, there is a taste in material sense enjoyment. Theoretically, we know it's not good. It doesn't bring happiness. It brings temporary happiness. But so at the initial stage, I don't have that realization that, and hence wherever there is an opportunity of sense gratification, I do it. So then it's like NOI, third verse, at Utsaha Nishcha Dhairya. So only patiently we have to wait, then when till the mind we get purified, will not engage. Or what, like, how to get that realization that, okay,
How to what?
No more sense gratification. Like, to realize this.
See, we have a material body. The material body has senses. They're real. It's not like the Mayavadis, that everything is Jagan Mithya. The world is unreal. No. We have senses, and the senses require real engagements. So by engaging our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, these senses will become a help to our Krishna consciousness. Our consciousness will become purified by the senses being engaged in the service of the Supreme Consciousness, Krishna. It's not that we can artificially stop the activities of the senses. They will force us to act. But if we have, by the association of devotees and under the direction of the spiritual master, see, Arjuna, he would have been not properly situated if he had fought the battle for his own sense credit, for his own pleasure, or not fought the battle, right? He was thinking he was doing a very good thing by not fighting the battle. But that was also sense gratification. Ooh, even if we win the kingdom, who will we enjoy it with? Enjoy means what? Sense gratification. So he was thinking on the basis of sense gratification. When the living entity stops thinking on the basis of sense gratification and starts thinking on the basis of Krishna's pleasure and engages his senses actively in that way, that's not material sense gratification. It's tapodivyam. As Rishabdev instructed his sons, tapodivyam. Engage in transcendental tapasya. And our tapasya is weed globulins. It's our tapasya, right? But it's offered to Krishna. We won't eat from Tiwari sweet shop. Kuch nahi lega. It's boga. No interest. Sometimes devotees go to Tiwari. They think, oh, Tiwari, No. It's not offered. Engaging the senses in the service of Krishna. Then the senses come under control. They become like a snake. A snake is very dangerous, right? But if the snake has his fangs removed, then he's not dangerous anymore, right? They have sometimes they keep one snake in the basket and they open the basket and the snake comes out and shows. But that snake has no fangs, they removed it. So he's not dangerous. In the same way, the senses are very dangerous. But if you engage them in devotional service, then they become pacified. Then we become jitendriya, controller of the senses. Is it okay? Okay, Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your wonderful points you're sharing. I've noted down something like you were telling that about curiosity.
About what?
Curiosity.
Curiosity.
So that leads to the frustration if we did not do the curiosity in right manner. So some of the point I like so much. Actually, Prabhuji, I am reading Leela Amrita. So there I find out some things that I don't know. Like one is a love feast. In ISKCON in all the temples, there is a love feast.
Love feast, yeah.
So before that, his name is Sunday feast. But some of the disciples or some suggestion is coming out, so Prabhupada give the name as a love feast.
Yeah, in those days of preaching in America, the Sunday feast was called the love feast, yes. Because all the hippies, they were attracted by love. They were the movement of love. The summer of love, they called it in San Francisco, right?
So,
but real love, they don't know what it is. They think love is like cat and dogs, But we called it the love feast because the real love is with Krishna, the supreme lover of everyone. So to come and take his prasadam, chant his holy name, hear his philosophy from Bhagavad Gita, can actually bring them to what is real love. Therefore, it was called the Sunday Love Feast.
So my question is that, Prabhuji, you are sharing one point like gulab jamun is a ISKCON bullet.
I remember the first love feast that I ever went to. The first one that I went to. There were two devotees at the front door, and they were washing everybody's feet. And I thought, what is this? I never saw that before. They're washing feet, you know. But everybody that came in, they washed their feet. And I said, those two devotees, right? What is this? So one devotee was, now he's the headmaster of the Gurukul, Bhaktivedya Purna Swami. Right? That time he was Bhakta Alan. And the other one was Bhakta Chuck. Now he's Chaturatma Das. And they said, no, this is an Indian custom. Everybody that comes to wash their feet. But after I became a devotee, I realized why I understood why they're washing the feet. Because the hippies don't take bath. And it's a small temple room, and you get 100 hippies that don't take bath. Their feet all are stinking, you know? So they used to wash everybody's feet that came to the temple just so that the temple would smell good. For the Sunday Love Feast. And I remember that and when I went to leave from that Sunday feast, they said, you want to take a plate home? I said, yeah, sure, I'll take a plate home. Take a plate home. But then after I became a devotee, I realized, what was that plate? What happened? They didn't, you know, some of the guests would come and not eat everything, right? So they would make plates from the remnants of the guests. And then as people were going out the door, they said, you want to take a plate home? Because they didn't want to throw away prasadam. Those were the early days. I don't think we can get away with that in India, do you? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavat Gita ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Lord Krishna's cuisine. Lord Krishna's cuisine. Cuisine means cooking. Lord Krishna's cuisine. You can check